Normally, I don't like to compare games that are too similar to each other, and especially not games part of the same franchise, but this time I had to make an exception. The reason is to show you how much better one game treated with expertise and care can be against a game with the same foundation but with little to no thought put in it at all. Uncharted 4 is one of the best games of our generation, whereas the first game in the franchise sucked major balls. It actually starts out pretty good, an engaging boat gunfight which introduces our two main protagonists, then a long puzzle solving exploration section that segues into a beautiful platforming challenge. Sounds pretty fun, right? And it is. This game doesn't have any specific area I can pinpoint to sum up the game's quality, it just starts out pretty good and slowly but surely gets dumb. And I know dumb is a Neanderthal way to describe it, but you'll get what I mean. For starters, the combat. This entire game is shooting gallery after shooting gallery. There is no depth to it at all. Let's compare it to The Last of Us. You know I'm not a big fan of the combat. I found it to get pretty boring, but at least there was some thought put behind it. You have to conserve your ammo, there's an element of stealth, you can stun enemies with bottles and bricks to get an edge in a fight. All that stuff makes the combat more realized. There was none of that in Drake's Fortune. You walk into an area, immediately everyone knows where you are, and you have to take on 30 bad guys with a pistol and a shotgun. And the villain? The villain. This is one of the stupidest executions of a villain I've ever seen. So at the start, the main bad guy in this entire private army that is never explained is just on the island for some reason. And the bad guy shoots Sully, and Nathan narrowly escapes. And then that's the last we ever see of the villain until we confront him near the end of the game, when his second in command, who we also don't know, kills him and becomes the new villain. Then the end boss fight is just with some rando I don't know. There were two villains in here, both of which I don't know the name of, and they're both dumb and not explained at all. Also, why does the villain at the start need the treasure when he has enough money to pay for an entire private army with helicopters, boats, and trucks? The entire operation would have ended up being a net loss regardless. This is one of the many things that don't make sense in Uncharted, such as the explanation for how Sully survived a gunshot.
Alright, so how is it you're standing here breathing and all, huh?
You are not gonna believe this. Huh?
No way! Old Francis took a bullet for you.
Yeah.
It's
Thought
like
this kind of thing only happened in the
a bullet
movies.
couldn't
Yeah, well, it still hurt
cut
like
through
a son of
3
a bitch, I'll tell
pages.
you that.
Which reminds me, the characters are not very realized. Most of the time, despite the characters' attempts at lightening the mood with witty jokes, I'm just bored. And that's the thing you never want a gamer to feel. It doesn't matter if I'm interested because it's incredible or it's so bad it's good. I just don't want to be bored. And that is the lowest insult I can give this game. Another thing that doesn't make any sense is that 2/3 throughout the game, there are just fucking zombies. For no reason. It's immediately explained, but it still doesn't make any sense. And not a single character is surprised. Everyone just acts like it's a normal thing that happens. I don't get it. A bunch of zombies just appeared out of nowhere, and Sully's like, "This is like the time he slept with a harem of homeless prostitutes." And Nathan is like, "Haha, classic Sully." And then Elena is like, "No, my camera!" My final problem with the game is that there's no epic Uncharted moment. In the second, it was the train sequence. In the third, it was the plane. And in the fourth, it was the car chase. Some of the best parts in these games are when the music is building, and you're hanging on the back of the plane over the desert, and it's intense and awesome. There's no section like that in here. It's just consistently fine. And for that reason, I'm giving Uncharted Drake's Fortune a C-. Uncharted A Thief's End is better in quite literally every way. The game starts with a gorgeous platforming section on the Colombian coast, which leads into an introduction of all the leads through a high-octane prison escape, culminating in the supposed death of Nathan's brother, Sam. Already this game has more interesting and fleshed out characters than the first. They all have their role to play in the epicness of the story. Nathan put treasure hunting behind for a quiet life with Elena, who still yearns for adventure. Then, Sam shows up alive after being in prison for 15 years and urges him to help find the treasure of Captain Avery, a lifelong dream of theirs they've never been able to accomplish. But since Sam's life is on the line from a deal with a gangster, Nate is forced to lie to his wife and rekindle the search. Already and all throughout the game, Sam uses his brotherly connection with Nate to push him back into the life-threatening hunt, putting all of his relationships on the line. Which seems like an evil thing to do, but you can't feel bad for him because it's only because he wants to make up for lost time with his brother. He spent 15 years away from Nate, and he finally comes back to find out that he spent all that time treasure hunting, something that he had hoped to do together. And now Nate gave up that life, so he's doing and saying whatever he can to get back that lost time. The villain is way better this time around. For one, we actually spend more than 2 seconds with him, so that's a plus. But he actually has motivation and a personality. He's a slimy trust fund kid who's gotten everything handed to him, but now he wants to do something himself, without the help of his parents, and he will do anything to achieve his goal. The combat is significantly better. Instead of just 100 shooting galleries interrupted by the occasional cutscene, the shootouts are shaken up with the addition of stealth in an interactive environment filled with opportunities for taking cover, swinging, and tactically taking down all of your enemies. Every chapter is different from the last, fueled by beautiful landscape, puzzles, combat, platforming, and captivating plot development. There are so many awesome majestic moments in this game that are exactly what you're looking for in a large-scale globe-trotting treasure hunting experience. Car chase in Madagascar, robbing the mansion, escaping the auction in Italy, and fighting through Libertalia are just a few of my favorite moments in the game. And when developing a game this big, it seems like it would be easy to get caught up in the spectacle. But there are so many little details, like the small talk with references to older Uncharted games between Nate and Sam, the footprints in the snow, how Nate brushes his hand against a wall when he's walking by it. All of these minor additions keep me immersed in the gameplay. There are just 2 little goofy things that I noticed carried over from the first game. The first is that Nathan is a superhuman. He can jump down 15 feet and grab onto a ledge with just his fingers, survive a melee grenade explosion, and walk away from multiple bombs blowing him up, unshaken. The second is that at the end of every single one of these games, they narrowly escape with their lives, but without any treasure. They're relieved, but a bit disappointed, until Nathan goes, "Guess what I shoved up my ass when we were escaping?" And Elena goes, "OMG, we're saved!" And Sam goes, "I knew he had it in him." And Sully goes, "Ha ha, Nathan, you son of a bitch! This is like the time I got my dick sucked by my step-cousin in the driver's seat of my 1978 Mustang cruising down the southern coast of Tijuana. You motherfucker!" All in all, this closure to the Uncharted franchise is one of the best video games I've ever played, with enough story and epic wonder to launch you through this 20-hour journey with a smile on your face for every second. On the outside, it's another bedazzling and treasure hunting adventure with loads of marvel, but on the inside, it's a story about whether Nathan Drake can put his calling to rest for the people he loves. And for that reason, Uncharted: A Thief's End earns an A.